Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Islam Channel News. We are delighted now to be joined with Professor Ramón Grosfoguel, who is a Puerto Rican sociologist recognized for his work on decolonization of knowledge and power, as well as for his work in international migration and political economy of the world system. He is currently a professor of Chicano Latino Studies in the Department of Ethnic Studies at the University of California, Berkeley. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to you, Professor Ramón.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Professor Ramón, we wanted to talk about the history of the conflict that's happening in Gaza right now. We also wanted to know a little bit more about how we get to a situation where we are seeing such scenes on our screens, effective genocide. A lot of people are calling it that. We know that it's got a history and a past. Give us a little bit of a flavour of where you think this is coming from and where this stems from.
Yeah, the first thing we need to distinguish is the difference between exploitation colonialism and settler colonialism.
Sure.
In the Western European colonial expansion since 1492 or maybe before, we have two types of colonialism that have been used historically by the colonizers. The exploitation colonialism, the aim is to exploit the labor of the people they colonize. The settler colonialism is not so much to exploit labor, but to take over the land, resources, and even their homes of the colonized people. So these are two types of colonialism that have different consequences.
Yes.
In the second one, settler colonialism is highly correlated with genocide because the colonizer is not interested in exploiting the labor of the colonized people. The colonizer is just interested in getting rid of the native population and taking over the land, resources, homes, everything from the colonized people. So the correlation there of colonization and genocide is very high. It's very high. And then this goes back in the history of this civilization, the capitalist modernity, you know, in this civilization, since the conquest of Al-Andalus in the Iberian Peninsula, you have the first moment of the modern settler colonialism practiced by the Christian Castilian monarchy against Muslim and Jews in Al-Andalusian territories. This method of conquest has continued until this day. We can see it in North America, like in the US and Canada. We can see it in Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, in the southern corner of South America. We can see it in the south of Brazil. You can see it in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Zimbabwe. We can go over the list. Settler colonialism is always highly correlated with genocide. And we are seeing it right now, until today, in Palestine. What we're seeing in Palestine is what happened more than 500 years ago in the conquest of Al-Andalus, and it's what happened in the conquest of many other lands by European colonizers using this method called settler colonialism. They wipe out the population, they kill them all, and take over the land. This is what we're seeing today. This is not a religious war, like some people try to portray. This is a settler colonial racist project. And this is what we're seeing today in Gaza.
Indeed. I suppose this is something that I want to bring Professor Ramón in as well. Professor Ramón, obviously you're listening to those particular words live from Gaza, from the medical staff that are actually out there dealing with these particular issues and these particular concerns that have come through in relation to people's health. But this comes from a deeply rooted idea of who owns that land and who wants that land. So that idea that you're saying, this all comes back down to that idea of settler colonialism itself being the most important factor as to why this is taking place. And there doesn't seem to be any morality in this.
Yes, because the colonizer is going to dehumanize the colonized people in the process of doing ethnic cleansing as part of the settler colonial project. The ethnic cleansing for them is built and constructed around a narrative of the inferiorization, human inferiorization of the colonized people, in this case, the Palestinians. So they justify genocide using a racist discourse that these are not human beings. Therefore, human rights and all kind of codes of law applied to human beings are not applied, and they justify that it's not applied with the racist argument, saying that these people are like animals below the line of the human. And this is what settler colonialism always does. When they arrive to a place, they're going to claim that this is an empty land and that these are all animals. And that's what exactly the colonizers did in the Americas when they arrived to the Americas. This is a tabula rasa, manifest destiny in the case of USA, the white man burden, this kind of rhetorics of white supremacy are there from the beginning and early period of the European colonial expansion. We're seeing it today in Palestine. You can listen to the leaders of Israel calling Palestinian animals, and the reason they're doing that is precisely that one of the, both for legal purposes and for religious purposes, one of the main commandments is you shall not kill other human beings. But if these people are classified as non-human, then you have, a green light to kill anybody because these are animals. You see, from a religious point of view, from a legal point of view, it's the same thing. They claim these are animals, therefore human rights do not apply to them. Any other rights do not apply to them. So you can kill them, you can do whatever, and it's not illegal. It's not anything that can be taken to a court, etc. You see, so the racist discourse is inherently a part of the settler colonial project, and as I said, genocide is inherently a consequence of settler colonialism.
Indeed. I suppose one thing, I know that you have in your past travels met with the Pope himself, and indeed there must be something that's been said from that side of the fence as well in relation to what the Catholic Church is actually looking at, saying in terms of what is happening out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen, maybe as far as I've seen, I haven't seen anything as strong as I would expect from coming from the Pope or coming from the Church. I know he's made declarations that is related and is talking indirectly about what's happening in Palestine and the genocide going on. He has done that, but in a very indirect way. I don't understand. There sometimes people in position of power are getting some pressures and stuff. I don't understand what is behind it, because this Pope has been very progressive in many causes, including the Palestinian cause. I mean, including but he's been like talking in indirect ways where everybody understands what he's talking about, but it's kind of not exactly directly using, the terms that we would like to hear. Why is this happening? I don't know. I don't know what kind of pressures he might be going through, because I'm sure he's very concerned. Knowing him personally, I know he's very concerned about this genocide, and he's opposed to it, actively opposed to it. But I don't understand from here. I don't want to make a judgment from here of why he's going directly into it, even though he's been saying many things that we can understand what he's talking about.
Professor Grosfoguel, when you listen to that, it seems to be a classic example of exactly what you've been talking about, where effectively the land becomes impossible to live so that the people have to move out and they're forced out of that particular situation. And you've also at this stage got international organizations that are failing necessarily to do what they need to do in order to stop this from happening. Israel has been told to stop killing, yet 30 days on, or within 5 days, 1,000 people had been killed. And now we see what's happening in the Rafah border, where Dr. Ahmed is right now. What can the international community do more?
I think that the international institutions are corrupt. They are all, in some way or another, controlled by U.S. imperialism and Western imperialist powers. and they are on bed with the Zionists. And look, with less than what Netanyahu have done, other other presidents of countries, etc., have violated human rights, have been arrested, and has been an order of arrest, immediately. Look, Netanyahu have no order of arrest. There should be an order of arrest, international order of arrest of Netanyahu. He's a criminal. He's a genocidal person. He's a Nazi, disguised as a Jewish person. He's a Nazi, a German Nazi. That's what he's doing exactly in Gaza. And he's still running around with with impunity, despite the case being taken to the International Court for Crimes Against Humanity. There's nothing happened. The crimes continue. And this is because the international institutions in the world are in the hands of the imperialist Western powers, who are the ones who finance and support the Zionists in the Middle East from the beginning. The foundation of the State of Israel was done through a genocide, and with the support of all these Western imperialist countries. And until today, they receive money, they receive weapons, and they receive the support of the mainstream press, controlled by these Western imperialist powers. So what we're seeing in our eyes is a complete failure of humanity to deal with this situation, because the international institutions we have are corrupt, are working for the agenda of imperialist country and the Zionists. The Zionists are doing a job for the imperialist countries, which is a policing intelligence a job in the Middle East from the beginning. And so they're on bed with the Western powers. They work together, and they are blindly supporting Zionists in whatever means they can. And this is what we're seeing: the failure of the international community, because it's corrupt, it's controlled by imperialist power, have no concern about human life.